If you'd asked me 6 months ago what trust looked like, I would have said a quiet apartment, 2 toothbrushes in 1 cup, a shared grocery list on the fridge. Now I know trust is a locked drawer. For almost 2 years, Anna and I were the couple that made other couples roll their eyes. We liked the same films, the same dark roast, the same way of stacking books, spines in, chaos hidden. I worked remote for a data firm. She freelanced as a photographer. We weren't flashy, just content. At least I was. The dresser came from an antique shop we stumbled across on a rainy Sunday. I remember her stopping, brushing her hand across the carved wood, whispering, "This one." It was old, heavy, scarred in a way that made it seem alive. We hauled it home in a borrowed van, laughing, soaked, my back screaming. She said it made the room honest. Only one drawer wouldn't open. Top left, a little rusted padlock hung there like jewelry. I tugged it once, half curious. It didn't move. She saw me. "It's just old family stuff," she said, light, almost rehearsed. "Bad memories. My one do not touch zone, okay?" I nodded. I didn't press. Every relationship needs a small mystery. Hers was a drawer. We built a life around that unspoken rule. Morning coffee, shared playlists, quiet evenings. She had her little rituals every night before bed. She'd stand at the window for a minute, just breathing, like she was remembering something. I told myself it was harmless, a habit. She told me I overthink. Sometimes I caught her staring at the dresser, not sentimentally, but calculatingly, like she was checking a chessboard. When I'd ask if she was okay, she'd smile and say, "You worry too much, Mark." And I'd believe her, because love makes you choose comfort over curiosity. Friends said we were perfect. We were, except for the drawer. The first time I truly wondered about it was after we moved in together. I was unpacking boxes. She was out shooting a wedding. I found an old keychain in her coat pocket, one of those tiny brass skeleton keys. It didn't fit any of the doors. I held it for a second, turning it over in my hand, wondering. Then I slipped it back where I found it. That's what love looked like to me, leaving questions unanswered. Over time, the drawer became more than furniture. It became the heartbeat of our apartment, a small, locked pulse of silence. We joked about it sometimes. "Maybe it's full of love letters," I'd tease, "or pictures of you with bangs." She'd smirk. "Maybe it's my secret stash of bad poetry. Trust me, you're happier not knowing." And I was until yesterday. We decided to swap the bedroom and the office. She had a client shoot, so I volunteered to do the heavy lifting. The dresser was the worst of it. Solid oak, older than both of us combined. I dragged it away from the wall, sweat soaking my shirt, the air thick with dust. When it slipped, I tried to catch it. My grip failed. The crash was thunder in a small room. Wood splintered. One of the legs cracked clean through. For a moment, I just stood there, breathless, praying the floor hadn't dented. Then I saw the drawer. It wasn't locked anymore. The padlock lay on the floor, cracked open hollow, fake. The drawer itself had popped out, flipped upside down, spilling its contents like a wound. My first feeling was guilt, a hot, stupid guilt that hit me like static. My second was disbelief, because there were no yellowed letters, no photo albums, no heirloom trinkets, just a black duffel bag, military style, heavy, and a small leather notebook. I remember kneeling, my heart hammering, telling myself I'd zip it shut and pretend I hadn't seen anything. But the zipper was already half open. Money stared back at me. Stacks of hundreds, bound in paper bands. The smell of ink and dust and something chemical. I'd never seen that much cash outside of a movie. I counted one brick, $10,000. I counted again, 20 bricks per layer, 10 layers deep, $2 million. Sitting in my bedroom, the world tilted. My brain went white noise. Anna? No, couldn't be. She hated crime movies. She paid taxes early. She once cried over a stray cat. But the cash was there. Real, weighty. I touched it. My hands shook. Then I saw the notebook. It was small brown leather, edges worn, pages filled with her handwriting, the same neat looping script that wrote, "Buy milk on our fridge." Inside, names, dates, amounts. Michael P., the 14th of January 2022, $150,000. Sarah J., the 2nd of July 2023, $200,000. David R., the 12th of March 2024, $1 million. I flipped pages. Each line felt like a heartbeat I didn't want to hear. Some names crossed out, some circled, no explanations. Then I reached the last page. 3 entries, one for a name I didn't recognize, one blank, and one with tomorrow's date, November 12. The name, Mark H. the amount, $2 million. And below it, a neat, chilling note, final payment. For a long time, I couldn't move. My throat was sandpaper. My thoughts didn't line up. Was it blackmail? Insurance fraud? Something darker? Was I the debt? And why tomorrow? I stared at that line, my name, that number, until it stopped looking real. Then the front door opened. Mark? Her voice drifted down the hall, warm, normal, full of pasta and routine. You home? I brought dinner. My hands went numb. The notebook slipped from my fingers. She stepped into the bedroom and froze. The shattered dresser, the open bag, me, sitting on the floor, surrounded by a small nation's GDP. Her face didn't crumble. She didn't gasp. She just exhaled, long and annoyed, like someone finding a dent in a rental car. Well, she said quietly, this is messy. I tried to speak. Nothing came out. Then, Anna, what is this? My voice cracked on her name. She looked at me, expression unreadable. You weren't supposed to see that. What does it mean? I held up the notebook. What's final payment? She tilted her head slightly, assessing me the way she used to assess lighting for a photo. It means, she said, stepping closer, you just complicated my retirement. The words didn't fit. My stomach dropped through the floor. You what? Relax. She rolled her shoulders. I'm not going to hurt you, Mark. I'm not a murderer. She nudged the bag with her foot. That's my fee for the job I've been working for 2 years. What job? You. For a moment, all I could hear was the hum of the refrigerator down the hall. She watched me, patient, like a teacher waiting for a student to catch up. I don't kill people, she said finally. I ruin them. That's what I do. My client wanted you stripped bare career, reputation, friends, everything. Then, at the end, I walk away. And that, darling, was supposed to happen tomorrow. She smiled, small, tired, almost sympathetic. You were my last assignment. Final payment, remember? I couldn't breathe. The notebook trembled in my hands. So all this, I gestured to the room, to us. The trips, the plans, the life was work, she said simply. But don't make it sound cold. I liked you. I still do. You just weren't supposed to see the paycheck. I don't remember standing. I just remember the distance between us shrinking, my voice rising without my permission. Who hired you? Her smile faded. Someone you wronged. Don't ask who. It doesn't matter now. It matters to me, she sighed. Of course it does. That's why they picked me. The words landed heavy, precise. Because she was right. Someone out there had paid $2 million to erase me, and I'd handed them the keys with every piece of trust I'd ever given her. That's where the night froze. 2 people, 1 broken drawer, $2 million, and a love story turning inside out. I should have run. Instead, I listened. There are moments when reality doesn't crash. It shifts, like a wall moving an inch while you're still leaning on it. You're upright, but suddenly gravity's wrong. That's what standing in front of Anna felt like. She didn't shout. She didn't cry. She looked inconvenienced, like she'd missed a flight, not detonated 2 years of our lives. I tried to speak again. My throat closed. You were paid to ruin me. She tilted her head. You make it sound theatrical. It is theatrical. I pointed to the cash. That's what, a retirement fund for sociopaths? She smirked. 2 million buys a lot of silence. Silence. The word slid into the air and just stayed there. She wasn't angry. She was calm in a way that made me want to throw something, anything, just to prove that the world still made noise. Who? I asked again. Who hired you? She walked past me toward the kitchen, talking over her shoulder like we were discussing groceries. You really want to do this? Tonight? Anna, I'm starving, Mark. She opened the fridge. You hungry? Or are we skipping straight to the existential breakdown? Her casualness was worse than a confession. It was performance control. She poured herself water, took a sip, then finally looked at me again. You don't remember, she said softly. Remember what? Her eyes studied me. Exactly. She came back into the bedroom, barefoot, graceful, the same Anna I'd known, except now every movement carried purpose instead of affection. She crouched beside the fallen dresser, picked up a photo frame, the one of us in Mexico, and brushed the dust off the glass. 2 years, she murmured. You lasted longer than most. What does that mean? She set the photo upright on the cracked wood. Most of them figure it out sooner. Something in my stomach twisted. Them? She met my eyes, and for a heartbeat, I saw something that almost looked like regret. Then it was gone. You're not my first project. I sat down on the edge of the bed. The room smelled of oak dust and fear. So you find people, move in with them, and what? Destroy them for money? Not people, she said, almost gently. Targets. There's a difference. What did I do? Who did I piss off that would... She held up a hand. Mark, don't. You're going to start listing coworkers, exes, bosses. It doesn't matter. The client always has a reason, and the reason's never yours to fix. She said it like she'd rehearsed that line 100 times before. I stared at the ledger again, at the names. Michael P., Sarah J., David R. Her voice dropped. Don't read them out loud. Why not? They're your victims? Because some of them still breathe. She looked away. Barely. The floor felt unsteady under me. I tried to piece things together logically. The money, the list, her behavior, but logic wasn't built for betrayal. You can understand how a car works. You can't understand how someone drives it into you. She sighed. Mark, sit down. I am sitting. Then listen. Her tone changed, cool, factual. You were supposed to be simple. 1 year of building trust. 6 months of slow erosion. I make small cuts. Job tension, rumors, old acquaintances reaching out with bad timing. You start to think you're unlucky. Then I leave. You spiral. I stared at her. You ruin people's lives for money. I restructure them, she said flatly. Everyone's got leverage. I just find it. I wanted to laugh. It came out broken. So what's mine? Her eyes flicked to the wall behind me where our framed degrees hung side by side. Integrity. You think it protects you. It doesn't. I stood. You were supposed to walk away tomorrow. Why tomorrow? She hesitated. Because the final payment clears at midnight. And what happens after that? I vanish. You vanish, I repeated. Just like that. New city, new name, clean ledger. That was the plan. Her voice softened, almost wistful. I was going to leave you a note. Something nice. You'd have hated me, but at least you'd have been alive. Alive? I barked. You call this alive? Better than the alternative, she said quietly. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The room felt too small, the air thick with all the words we'd never said. Then, finally, I whispered, why me? She leaned against the dresser, arms crossed. Because you're credible. You run compliance for a data firm. You see patterns. You report inconsistencies. You piss people off without realizing it. That's not a crime. No, she said, but it's expensive. I started pacing, my hands in my hair. Every memory replayed now through a new lens. The day we met at the coffee shop, her accidental job in the same building, her fascination with my company's security systems. It all fit. It all fit too well. She watched me unravel with something between pity and fatigue. Stop, she said gently. You're trying to rewrite history. It won't help. You were the one rewriting it. I was doing my job. Your job is psychotic. Her expression didn't change. My job paid for your rent, your birthday trip, your health insurance. It paid for us, Mark. You just didn't read the invoice. The words hit harder than any scream. You know what's funny? She added softly. You were the easiest one to love. I froze. That's supposed to make me feel better? No, she said. It's supposed to make you understand why this hurts. For a second, her composure cracked. The faintest tremor crossed her mouth before she straightened, smoothing it away. Then she said, you have two choices. You can pretend you never saw this and let me go tomorrow. Or you can call the police and I disappear right now. Either way, you lose. I took a step toward her. Or there's a third option. She raised an eyebrow. Oh? You tell me everything. Who hired you? What you did to the others. And maybe I figure out how to end it. Her laugh was low and humorless. You think you can end this? It's a network, Mark. People like me don't freelance. We're curated. By who? By people who own mistakes. She met my eyes. They bought yours. The sound of that broke something inside me. I grabbed the ledger, flipping through pages again, hoping for a loophole, some sign that it wasn't real, but it was. Every entry was precise, mathematical. She'd been documenting the decay of people like me. Then I noticed something I hadn't before. On the last page, under my name, a faint pencil mark barely visible, a series of numbers, 47.2169, negative 120, 2.3482. Coordinates. What's this? I asked. She looked genuinely confused. What? I pointed. The numbers under my name. She frowned, stepped closer, squinting. That wasn't there. You didn't write it? No. Her brow furrowed. Give me that. She snatched the notebook and scanned the page. This isn't my handwriting. Then whose is it? She didn't answer. She just stared at the coordinates, her lips moving silently as if calculating. What? I pressed. She looked up, eyes suddenly sharp. Where's your phone? Why? Give me your phone. Anna. Now, Mark. Something in her voice, a thread of genuine fear, made me obey. She grabbed it, opened the map app, and punched in the coordinates. The pin dropped somewhere across town. Industrial district. Abandoned warehouses. She zoomed in. The satellite view was grainy, but I saw it too. A car. A silver sedan. Parked behind a chain-link fence. Her face drained of color. That's mine. What? My car. I left it at the studio this morning. So? She stared at the screen. So, It's not there anymore. The room went quiet except for the low hum of the fridge. I could feel the hairs on my arms rise. Someone's watching us, she whispered. Someone who shouldn't know where I live. I laughed, a dry, panicked sound. You're paranoid. Paranoia keeps me alive. She shoved the ledger into the duffel, zipped it shut, and slung it over her shoulder. Get your shoes. What, why? Because either I screwed up or the people who paid me did. And if it's the latter, we're both in their way. I hesitated. Anna, Mark. Her tone cut through the room. You wanted answers? Congratulations. You're part of the data set now. I didn't understand half of what she meant, but I followed her anyway because the look in her eyes wasn't manipulation this time. It was survival. She paused at the doorway, keys in hand, her composure slipping for the first time since she'd walked in. If I say run, you run. No questions. And then she was gone, her silhouette vanishing down the hall like a closing file. I stood there in the wrecked room, the smell of dust and panic heavy in the air. 2 hours ago, I had a girlfriend. Now I had a target painted on my name. I looked around at the pieces of our life, the dresser, the photos, the bed we'd shared, and realized they were all props in a story I hadn't known I was part of. The clock ticked. It was almost midnight. The date on the ledger said tomorrow, but tomorrow was already here. When I finally stepped into the hallway, the air outside our apartment was colder, thinner. Anna was halfway down the stairs, moving fast but not panicked, her hand wrapped around the duffel strap. I followed, each step creaking like it wanted to confess something. Outside, the street was dark except for the low wash of light from a passing bus. She looked left, right, then motioned me toward the corner. Your car or mine? I asked. Neither, she said. If my coordinates are right, they've got eyes on both. She started walking, quick and purposeful, the duffel swinging at her hip. I had the strange feeling of being pulled into someone else's plan, one already half-written. Where are we going? Somewhere public, like a diner, gas station, anywhere with cameras that don't belong to me. The 24-hour diner on Pike and 3rd was all neon ghosts and steam. We sat in a corner booth, backs to the wall, the duffel on the seat beside her. The waitress gave us the kind of look reserved for couples mid-breakup and poured 2 coffees without asking. Anna didn't touch hers. She had her phone out, scrolling through something I couldn't see. Her fingers were steady, too steady. I broke first. You want to tell me why your car has GPS coordinates written in my death ledger? She didn't look up. Because someone wanted me to find them. That's comforting. She set the phone down. Mark, listen, jobs like mine, they don't end with money changing hands. They end when control changes hands. The moment I saw those coordinates, I stopped being control. So we're the targets now. Her mouth twitched. Welcome to the other side. She opened the notebook again, flipping through pages until she found the names I'd memorized. There's a pattern, she said. Dates, amounts, spacing. Every assignment overlaps by about 2 months. Meaning? Meaning while I was finishing one, I was already starting the next. The ledger wasn't just my work. It was their schedule. I leaned over. Who are they? Clients, she said. Corporate, political, personal. It doesn't matter. They're a consortium. They buy outcomes. Outcomes? Ruin, influence, silence. Her eyes flicked up to mine. Everything that looks like coincidence to normal people. I sat back, dizzy. So what's my outcome? She hesitated. Yours was supposed to be public failure. You expose something at work, something real, but the evidence gets corrupted. You get blamed, fired, blacklisted. You spiral. I leave. End of story. Neat little tragedy, she nodded. Except you found the drawer first. The waitress brought pie. Neither of us touched it. Anna pulled her phone closer. On the screen, a map pulsed the same coordinates. The dot hadn't moved. Maybe it's just your car, I said. Maybe, she murmured. Or maybe it's the person who parked it there waiting for me to check. She slid out of the booth. We need to see it. Anna, I need to know if the job's been reassigned. We walked 3 blocks north, cutting through side streets slick with rain. The city was quiet in that post-midnight way. Everything hollow, everything echoing. The industrial lot sat behind a wire fence. Through the gaps, I could see her silver sedan, exactly where the coordinates had placed it. Anna crouched by the gate, using her phone's light like a scalpel. No sign of entry, she whispered. Maybe whoever moved it left. Maybe. She climbed through a gap in the fence, the duffel slung across her back. I followed, half expecting alarms, half hoping for them. The car's windows were fogged. She wiped a circle clear and froze. Jesus, she whispered. On the driver's seat lay another ledger, identical to hers. She opened the door carefully, like it might explode. The new notebook smelled of ink and metal. Inside, pages in the same handwriting, hers but not hers. The same names, same dates, until the last few entries. The second to last was mine. Mark H., 11 over 12, $2 million. Status, active. The final one read, Anna K., 11 over 13, $0. Status, pending. I felt my stomach fold. They put you on the list. Her hands trembled, the first real crack in her armor. They always tie loose ends. So what now? She closed the ledger slowly. Now we make them regret it. Back at the diner, we spread both notebooks open like crime scene photos. The waitress had gone to smoke outside. The city beyond the glass looked clean and distant. Anna drew a line down a napkin, jotting numbers. Each payout corresponds to an account cluster. Offshore, rotating shells. If we can find the central node, we can expose the structure. You mean hack them? She smiled faintly. You say it like a bad word. I work in compliance, remember? It is a bad word. Then think of it as discovery. She pulled her laptop from the duffel, fingers flying over the keyboard. I watched code spill across the screen. Numbers, letters, bursts of green. For the first time, I saw what she looked like when she wasn't pretending to be normal. Pure focus, predatory precision. Minutes passed. Got it, she said. Main servers in Zurich, encrypted behind 4 mirrors. But there's a back door. Someone left a diagnostic channel open. Can you get in? She looked up. Only once. What happens after? They'll know it was us. Her hands paused above the keys. Mark, once I do this, we're both ghosts. Understand? I nodded. I didn't, not really. But nodding felt like agency. She entered the command. The screen blinked. Rows of data unfolded transactions, communications, hidden names, and then a video file, time-stamped 2 days ago. She clicked it. A boardroom, frosted glass, 5 people, faces blurred, but voices clear. Target M confirmed compromised, a man's voice said. Final observation scheduled. Transfer approval contingent on her delivery. Her, Anna. Then another voice. If subject M discovers breach prematurely, proceed to cleanup. Both assets disposable. Anna closed the laptop. Her face had gone paper white. They were monitoring me, she whispered. Not you. We left the diner before dawn. The first light touched the buildings like a lie, soft, forgiving. Anna walked ahead, her silhouette sharp against the gray. What's the plan now? I asked. We flipped the switch, she said. Upload the files, expose the network, and then we run. At my office downtown, security was minimal at that hour. She followed me in through the garage entrance, hood up, eyes scanning every camera. We reached the server room. She plugged the laptop into a port. The hum of machines filled the silence. This line's unmonitored, I said. Temporary mirror for audits. Perfect, she murmured. They'll trace it to your company, not to us. That's not exactly comforting. She looked at me, a hint of the old smile ghosting her mouth. Trust me once more, Mark. She hit upload. Progress bar. 1%, 10%, 40, 3%. Halfway through, the lights flickered. Power surge, I said automatically. But she was already unplugging, switching to tethered backup. Not a surge, she hissed. They found us. The elevator dinged down the hall. Footsteps. 2, maybe 3 sets. She stuffed the drive into my jacket pocket. If I don't make it out, you finish it. Anna, no time. The door opened. 2 men in suits stepped in. One flashed a badge I didn't recognize. Mark Harris? Yeah? We need you to come with us. Anna stepped between us. He doesn't go anywhere. The taller man sighed. Miss Kozlova, you're not cleared for this operation. Funny, she said. Neither are you. Then everything went loud. I don't remember details, just motion, shouts, the crash of a chair. Anna moved like water, using angles, not force. In seconds, both men were on the floor, groaning. She grabbed my arm. Go! We ran through the stairwell, 3 flights down, out into the service alley. Sirens wailed somewhere above. She stopped by a dumpster, panting. The drive, did you keep it safe? I nodded. She smiled real this time. Then you're officially worth more alive. We didn't stop until we hit the waterfront. Dawn was bleeding across the bay. Cargo cranes loomed like skeletons. Anna leaned against a railing, catching her breath. The duffel was gone, lost in the chase. What now? I asked. She looked at the rising Sunday. Now we disappear. You can't just disappear. I can, she said. You'll have to learn. She turned to me. The drive, hide it, somewhere boring. Mail a copy to every journalist whose name you know. The truth is safer in daylight. And you? She smiled, faint and tired. I was never built for daylight. A horn blared from the docks. She started walking toward it. Anna. She stopped. You could stay, I said. We could figure it out. She shook her head. You still think this is about love, isn't it? Her eyes softened. It started that way. Then she turned, melted into the maze of shipping containers, and was gone. By noon, I was back in my apartment. The dresser was still broken. The room smelled like dust and lost time. On the floor, where the duffel had fallen, lay a single $100 bill and a note in her handwriting. Final payment refunded. Don't spend it all in one place. I laughed until it hurt. Then I took the drive, sealed it in an envelope, and addressed it to a journalist I'd once audited for tax evasion. Someone who hated me enough to publish it without hesitation. As I dropped it into the mailbox, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. One new message. Ledger complete. Balance like 0. No signature. Just silence. That was a week ago. The story broke yesterday. Anonymous leak exposes global manipulation network. Names redacted. No mention of Anna. No mention of me. I watched the news in the dark and wondered if she was somewhere watching too. Every time I pass a diner, I glance inside, half expecting to see her. Coffee untouched, eyes calculating a way out. Sometimes I think the drawer was never about secrets. It was about seeing if I'd open it. And I did. You don't realize how loud silence can be until it's the only thing left. The hum of the fridge, the tick of a wall clock, all of it feels like a language you can't quite understand. That's what the apartment sounded like after Anna disappeared. The day after, sunlight hit the floorboards in that same spot it always had. But everything else was wrong. The dresser sat cracked against the wall like a monument to what used to be normal. I'd swept the money into a box, shoved the ledger into a drawer I could actually lock, and told myself I'd start over. But starting over doesn't feel like starting. It feels like pretending. I kept waiting for something to happen. A call, a knock, a shadow at the door. Nothing came until the email. It arrived 2 weeks later. No subject, no sender, just a timestamp. 3:17 a.m. The same time I'd first touched the drawer that night. The body of the message was one line. Final payment confirmed. Meet 11 over 30 same place, 2 a.m. There was an attachment, a zip file, password protected. The file name, drawer, final, zip. My hands went cold. I stared at the screen so long the monitor went black. Then I powered it down, grabbed my jacket, and left the apartment like it was on fire. The same place could only mean one thing, the diner. The same one where we'd sat across from each other, surrounded by burnt coffee and neon ghosts. It was nearly empty at 2 a.m. The waitress wasn't the same. Everything else was. Same booth, same flickering sign outside, same smell of frying oil and rain on asphalt. I ordered coffee I didn't drink. Every creak of the door made my heart jump. When she finally walked in, she didn't look like the Anna I remembered. The jeans and leather jacket were gone. She wore black slacks, a long coat, her hair tied back. Professional, cold. But her eyes, those same sharp eyes, hadn't changed. She slid into the booth opposite me. You came. You emailed me, I said. I needed to make sure it was still you. I frowned. Still me? She nodded. After the upload, I wasn't sure how much of you was left. She reached into her coat and placed a small device on the table, something between a flash drive and a pulse sensor. A green light blinked slowly. Touch it, she said. What is it? A verifier. I hesitated. You think I'm someone else? I think someone else might think they're you. I pressed my fingertip to the device. The light turned blue, then steady white. She exhaled. Good. It's really you. Explain, I said. She glanced around, then leaned in. The network didn't die, Mark. The leak burned one branch, but the root's still alive. The clients are rebuilding smaller, smarter. They already restructured your identity. My identity? She nodded. They used your credentials as a seed. There are copies of you online now, data replicas. Some built from your old logins, some from predictive models. It's what they do when they lose an asset. They recreate it. I stared at her. There's more than one of me? Digitally, yes. Which is why the payment went through. She opened her phone, showed me a screen filled with encrypted transaction logs. At the top, $2 million transferred, final payment complete. My name sat next to it as the recipient. I never got this money, I said. I know, she replied. That's why I'm here, because someone used your account to collect your own bounty. So someone's pretending to be me, cashing out on killing me. She nodded slowly. And they're better at it than either of us realized. The realization hit in waves. Somewhere, a version of me was completing a transaction for my own destruction. Legally, digitally, invisibly. Can we trace it? I asked. We can, she said. But once we do, they'll know we're looking. Then let them. Her eyes narrowed. That's not the Mark I remember. Maybe you don't know me anymore. She studied me for a moment, then smiled, just barely. Maybe that's not a bad thing. We drove. The city was still half asleep, its skyline wrapped in mist. She parked behind an abandoned post office, led me into a storage room where a single laptop sat connected to a tangle of wires. This is what's left of my system, she said. I burned everything else. Once we plug in, it'll start a trace on the transfer. We'll get one shot. I watched her type fast, mechanical, precise. Code filled the screen, lines of encrypted chatter unspooling like threads. Then something blinked. Trace origin, active, location unknown node. What does that mean? It means someone's watching us back. The cursor blinked once, then words began typing on their own. Stop looking. Anna froze. They're inside the line. Balance is closed. Except the ledger. I felt my pulse in my throat. What ledger? She didn't answer. She was staring at the screen, her face gone pale. Asset K reactivated. Final payment issued. Transfer subject. Joint. My stomach dropped. Anna, what does that mean? It means, she said softly, they've added me back into the job. The screen flickered again. A new window opened. A contract. Digital. Official. Bloodless. 2 names at the bottom. Mark Harris. Anna Kozlova. Status. Active targets. What happens if we do nothing? I asked. She didn't look away from the screen. Then the ledger stays open. They won't stop until it's cleared. And if we clear it ourselves? Her gaze met mine. Then we become ghosts. Permanently. She reached into her coat, pulled out a small drive, the same kind of scrambler she'd once shown me. This burns everything. Us, them, all of it. But once it runs, there's no going back. I took it from her. If we don't, they'll use your replica. They'll use me. We'll keep existing without existing. A silence hung between us. The hum of the laptop filled it. You said you ruin people, not kill them, I whispered. I lied, she said, her voice breaking for the first time. I just didn't know it until now. We ran the program. The lights dimmed. Screens flickered. A sound like static thunder filled the room. Lines of code dissolved, replaced by one word flashing in red. Erased. The laptop sparked, then went dark. Smoke rose from the ports. Anna stared at it, motionless, until the smell of burning plastic filled the air. Then she exhaled a long, shaking breath and laughed softly. That's it, she said. Ledger's empty. I waited for something to happen. Alarms, sirens, another message. Nothing. Just silence. She sat on the floor, leaning against the wall, her eyes closed. So what now? I asked. She opened one eye. Now we disappear. You keep saying that, I said. But where do people like us go? She smiled faintly. Anywhere we can live small. We watched the sunrise from a bridge. The city reflected in the water like a memory glitch. She stood beside me, her coat pulled tight, her breath visible in the cold air. What will you do? I asked. Leave, she said simply. No names, no jobs, no ledgers, just distance. And me? You do the opposite. You stay. Keep a life. Let the world think you're ordinary again. I looked at her. And if they come back? She turned, placed her hand over mine. Then you'll know the code to use. She pressed something small and metal into my palm, a flash drive, unmarked, cold. Backup, she said, for when quiet gets too loud. She walked away before I could answer. No dramatic farewell, no promises, just steps fading into the city noise until she was gone. I stood there long after, watching the water move under the bridge, the ripples catching light like static. When I finally looked down at the drive, I noticed one thing engraved on its edge, barely visible in the dawn. Final payment. 10. The drawer. Epilogue. Months have passed. I moved apartments again. No more antique furniture. No locked drawers. The world calls the leak an urban legend now. The forums call it the Ledger Ghost. I keep my head down, pay bills, water plants, pretend. Sometimes I think I see her. A reflection in a train window. A shadow crossing the street. Once, in a cafe, a woman dropped a note beside my cup. No words, just a small sketch of a padlock. When I looked up, she was gone. That night, I unlocked the flash drive. There was only one file inside. A text document. 6 words. Trust is the drawer you opened. Below it, a single line of code. Ledger. Balance equals 0. I don't know what it means. Maybe it means it's over. Maybe it never will be. All I know is that when I close my laptop at night and the room goes dark, I still hear her voice sometimes, not in words, but in rhythm. That calm, steady tone that could make even a lie sound like love. It's just old family stuff, Mark. Bad memories. My one do not touch zone. And somehow, I still believe her.